Imagine you're on a plane flying over the Atlantic. Your destination is Europe, where you and your family will be traveling for the next couple of weeks. You look out on a bright and sunny day, and you see the ocean stretching for miles and miles. You think to yourself, what's at the bottom there? Sharks, dolphins, sunken ships with lost treasure? Or how about a lost city that's been written and fantasized about for thousands of years? That city I'm speaking of is called Atlantis. I'd like to inform you about Atlantis, where it could be, what it was like, and why it was lost. I'll start by telling you about the city itself. According to Benjamin Radford, an editor of Skeptical Science magazine, Atlantis was first written about in Plato's dialogue Timaeus and Critias in about 330 BC. Plato was a classical Greek philosopher and founder of the Academy of Athens, the first institute of higher learning in the Western world. Most scientists believe that Atlantis was just fiction that Plato used just for his stories. Plato writes in his dialogues that Atlantis was a vast island with technologies far beyond its time. Plato also states that Atlantis had an extremely powerful navy, allowing to expand its empire across the globe. Atlantis was a utopian society who based its ideals off being perfect. According to Plato, in his writings, Atlantis was lost into the sea in one day and one night by a combination of earthquakes, fires, and tsunamis in about 9000 BC. Now that you know a little bit about Atlantis, let's talk about the people who have written about Atlantis. The first records of Atlantis in writing were from Plato's dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, in 330 BC. According to Plato in his work Critias, he was told about the city of Atlantis from his grandfather, who was taught by the Athenian statesman Solon, who was taught by an Egyptian priest. Plato stated that Atlantis was located at the mouth of the Pillars of Hercules, which is modern day the Straits of Gibraltar, which is the bottom tip of Spain that almost touches the northern tip of Africa, so Atlantis would be right about here. Plato also wrote that Atlantis was about as big as Libya and Asia combined, which you can imagine would be huge. Atlantis was also written about in a book called Atlantis, the Antediluvian World by Ignatius L. Donnelly, an American politician. It was published in 1882. Donnelly states in the book that Atlantis is not fiction, but rather an actual place where humans rose from barbarism to civilization for the first time. He also states that Atlantis was the first civilization to work iron into materials. He states in his book that Atlantis was swallowed by the sea, but few citizens escaped east and west, forming their own civilizations. He also states that it was located opposite of the mouth of the Mediterranean, just like Plato states in his works. Now that you know where Atlantis was in the writings, let's talk about current possible locations of Atlantis. According to MSNBC News, researchers have thought the city of Atlantis to be located on islands like Sardinia in Italy, the Greek island of Santorini, and the island of Cyprus. Some researchers believe the city to be sunk somewhere in the Bermuda Triangle, and the city's ancient powers and technologies caused some of the strange phenomena that happen there. Stephen Longren of National Geographic magazine writes that a research team may have located the city in the mudflats of southern Spain. According to Rain Kuhn, a German physicist, satellite photos suggest that a region in southern Spain could possibly be the site of the city, which was flooded in 800 to 500 BC, a little different from Plato's works. According to Richard Friend, leader of a U.S. research team and professor at Harvard University, his team has located the city using satellite imagery, deep ground radar, digital mapping, and underwater technology. They believe this city to also be in the south of Spain, in the marshlands of Dana Ana Park. Now I've informed you about the lost city of Atlantis, its possible locations, and its writings throughout the ages. I hope you've I hope you've taken something away from what I've told you, and you start to think a little bit about history and maybe do some research of your own. We may never find Atlantis or know if it even existed. It could be just a fairy tale, and until we do find it, the mysteries of this ancient place will be left up to your imagination.